where dreams take flight. Zporter's here shining its light. Every kick, every sprint, every cheer, captured and cherished year after year. Zporter.
Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time we're exploring Rondos, and we've got a ton of great material to dig into. We've got coaching manuals, tactical breakdowns, even some scientific research on the effectiveness of Rondos. So if you're a coach looking to implement this drill into your training, get ready for a deep dive that will help you take your coaching to the next level.
You know, Rondos are everywhere in the world of soccer, from youth leagues to professional clubs like FC Barcelona. They all use them. So in this deep dive, we're going to help you become a Rondo master so you can use them with any team, no matter their age or skill level.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
To start off, can you just give us a basic definition of what a Rondo is?
Well, at its core, a Rondo is basically a keep-away game. You've got a larger group of players who are trying to maintain possession of the ball from a smaller group of defenders.
Okay, so it's basically keep away. But what makes it so special? Why is it so popular in soccer training?
It's the flow. Players are constantly moving, switching roles, making decisions under pressure. It really replicates the dynamism of a real match.
So it's not just about passing the ball around. It's about simulating the intensity and the decision-making of a real game.
Exactly. And that's why Rondos are so valuable. They develop a whole range of skills: passing, receiving first touch, tactical awareness, spatial awareness, you name it.
Yeah, that makes sense. In fact, in this presentation called Rondo Instructions, it highlights how Rondos help players develop that crucial mental transition, that ability to switch instantly between attacking and defending.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. In a real match, possession changes constantly. Rondos really train players to react quickly and effectively to those transitions.
So Rondos aren't just about technical skills. They're about building that game intelligence, that ability to read the play and make the right decision in a split second.
Right. It's all about developing those soccer smarts. And the great thing about Rondos is that you can tailor them to focus on very specific aspects of the game.
And that leads us to the different variations of Rondos. We've got the classic basic Rondo, which soccersourcecoaching.com describes as a great starting point for any team.
Yeah, the basic Rondo is typically played in a smaller grid with a pretty straightforward objective: keep the ball away from the defenders.
Okay, so pretty simple setup.
Yeah.
But then you can add layers of complexity, right?
Right. You can increase the difficulty. For example, there's a pressure Rondo where the defenders press super aggressively, forcing the attackers to make quicker decisions and execute passes under pressure.
Makes sense. So you're really simulating that game pressure in a training environment.
Exactly. And then you have positional Rondos, which is where players are assigned specific positions within the Rondo.
Oh, interesting. So kind of like mirroring formations you might use in a match?
Exactly. So you're not just working on technical skills, you're also working on tactical understanding and positioning.
I see. So you can really tailor the Rondo to replicate specific game scenarios.
Absolutely. One of our sources, Rondo Exercises EN, actually has a 4-area rondo where the grid is divided into quarters and the defenders are trying to win the ball in a specific quarter to create a 2v1 situation. So you're basically recreating those high-pressure moments in a game where you might be outnumbered.
That's a really cool variation. It's like taking a small piece of a match and recreating it in a controlled environment where players can practice and refine their skills.
Precisely. And that's what makes Rondos so effective. They bridge the gap between training and match play.
And speaking of different variations, I found the 2-team Rondo to be super interesting. It's basically where you have 2 teams of 4 playing keep away in separate areas, and then 2 defenders from the opposing team are allowed to pressure them.
Yeah. The 2-team Rondo is a great way to add an element of competition and to really elevate the intensity and focus. It simulates that back and forth flow of a real match, where possession is constantly changing hands.
So it's like a mini game within a game.
Exactly. And it forces players to work together, communicate effectively, and make those quick decisions under pressure that are so crucial in a match.
I love it. So we've got a solid understanding of what Rondos are and some of the different variations we can use. But how do we actually make these Rondo sessions effective? What are some key coaching points we should keep in mind?
Well, there are several key principles that apply across all Rondo variations. One of the most fundamental is keep your head up.
Ah, that makes sense. Players need to be aware of their surroundings, anticipating passing lanes, opponent movement.
Right. It's not just about kicking the ball. It's about seeing the whole picture.
And another coaching point that came up a lot in the research was use your back foot.
Yes. Receiving the ball with your back foot creates space and time for decision-making, which is so important in a fast-paced rondo.
I can see how that would give players a little advantage, allowing them to assess their options before making a pass.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about communication. Clear communication is absolutely vital for fluid passing and support.
It's all about working as a unit, anticipating each other's movements, supporting each other offensively and defensively.
Right. And as a coach, as you're running these rondo sessions, you need to be observant. Really watch your players. What are their strengths? What areas need improvement?
So you can tailor the rondos to address those specific needs.
Exactly. It's all about being adaptable, right? Using rondos as a tool to help your players develop and grow.
Makes sense. And remember, rondos are supposed to be fun. Keep the energy up, encourage creativity, and let your players enjoy the process.
Absolutely. When players are having fun, they're more engaged and they learn more effectively.
Okay, so we've covered the basics, the variations, some crucial coaching tips. But before we get into more advanced rondo concepts, let's break down how these drills specifically contribute to a team's performance in a match.
Sure, let's start by examining how rondos can enhance a team's offensive play.
Perfect. What are some of the key offensive benefits we can expect to see?
Well, one of the biggest benefits is that rondos develop a team's understanding of spacing, movement, and passing combinations. Our source, The Science of Rondo, highlights the concept of first line, second line, and third line passes, which essentially teach players to see different passing options and to break through those defensive lines.
So it's not just about keeping possession, it's about using those passes strategically to create scoring opportunities.
Exactly. And rondos also help players understand how to use width, depth, and length on the field, how to create passing angles, how to exploit numerical superiority, how to build attacks effectively.
That's a great point. And it reminds me of something Pep Guardiola, the coach of FC Barcelona and Manchester City, once said. He emphasizes how rondos help his players understand those key concepts, like triangles and diamonds in positioning.
Yeah. Guardiola is a huge proponent of rondos. He uses them extensively in his training, and his team's success is a testament to how effective they can be.
His teams are known for those incredibly fluid passing sequences. So it's not just random passing, it's purposeful passing, with a clear understanding of how to move the ball and create those scoring opportunities.
Exactly. It's about training the brain as much as the body, and that's one of the things that makes rondos so powerful.
This is fascinating stuff. We've seen how rondos can benefit a team's passing movement, tactical awareness, and attack. But how about the defensive side of the game? How do rondos contribute to a team's defensive prowess?
Rondos are just as valuable for developing a team's defensive skills. They instill those key principles of pressing, closing down space, and forcing opponents into errors. Yeah, it's like turning defense into a proactive force rather than just reacting to the opponent's attacks.
Right, you're dictating the play instead of just responding to it.
Exactly. Rondos teach those essential skills, anticipating, reading the play, working together to shut down space and win that ball back.
I see. So it's not just about individual defending, it's about that collective defensive effort.
Precisely. It's about that team synergy, right? Working as a unit to stifle the opponent's attack.
And one of the sources, 7 Fun and Competitive Rondo Variations, actually showed a really cool variation called Escape the Rondo.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
The attackers have to react quickly to losing possession and immediately transition to defense.
That's such a great variation because it really emphasizes that concept of mental transition, which we talked about earlier, which is so crucial in a match.
Yeah, players need to be able to switch gears instantly from attack to defense and back again.
Exactly. It's like training their brains to always be on high alert, ready to react to any situation.
So rondos are not just physical, they're mental too. They're developing that mental agility that's so important in a fast-paced game like soccer.
Absolutely. It's about making those split-second decisions under pressure, communicating effectively, and working together as a unit.
Okay, so we've talked about how rondos benefit both offense and defense. But what about those moments in a game when possession changes hands rapidly, those transitions? How do rondos help players master those crucial moments?
Rondos are fantastic for simulating those game-like transitions. They force players to react quickly to those changes in possession, to think fast, and to make good decisions under that pressure.
And I remember in that Guardiola Rondo setup that we talked about earlier, he really emphasized that speed of thought and physicality in transitions.
Yeah, it's not enough to just react. You have to react intelligently and decisively.
Right, you need to anticipate where the ball is going to go, where your teammates are going to be, and make the right decision in a split second.
Exactly. And rondos provide the perfect training ground for honing those transition skills. Players learn to anticipate those changes in possession, to move quickly into supporting positions, and to really execute their actions with speed and precision.
It's almost like they're playing a constant game of chess, thinking a few moves ahead and trying to anticipate what their opponent is going to do.
That's a great analogy. Rondos really do develop that strategic thinking and awareness.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is they do it in a fun and engaging way.
And speaking of fun and engaging, we've talked about a lot of variations already. But I'm curious, are there any other creative things we can add to our rondos to keep our players challenged and having fun?
Oh, absolutely. There are tons of ways to spice things up. You could even incorporate elements of fitness training into your rondos.
Like how?
Well, you could have players do a set number of burpees or sprints before they're allowed to join the possession circle.
Ah, that's a great idea. It adds a physical challenge, keeps things interesting.
Exactly. You could also incorporate target players into your rondos. Maybe designate certain players who have to be involved in a certain number of passes before the team earns a point.
So it forces them to be more aware of their teammates to create those passing lanes. We need to really focus on executing those passes accurately.
Exactly. And you can even get creative with the scoring system. Maybe award bonus points for passes that split the defenders, encourage risk-taking and precision.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's all about adding those little incentives to push the players to be more creative and to try new things.
And remember, it's all about finding that balance between challenge and enjoyment. Right? When players are having fun, they're more likely to be engaged and to learn effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about creating that positive and stimulating training environment where players can really develop their skills and their love for the game.
Exactly. And rondos are such a great tool for that.
Okay, so we've covered the basics, the variations, the coaching tips, and how these drills can really translate to match situations. But there's one more area I want to explore, cognitive rondos.
Yes, cognitive rondos. These are variations that add a mental challenge, forcing players to think even faster and make decisions under even more pressure.
Okay, give me some examples. How can we incorporate these cognitive challenges into our rondo sessions?
One simple example is to have players call out a number or a color before they receive a pass.
Oh, interesting. So it's like adding a little brain teaser on top of the physical and technical challenges of the rondo.
Exactly. It forces them to engage their brains while they're also trying to execute those technical skills.
Makes sense. And you can get even more creative, right?
Oh, yeah. For example, the science of rondo mentions a variation called no same color passing. So the players wear different colored vests and they can't pass to a teammate wearing the same color.
Oh, that's a good one. It really tests their spatial awareness and decision-making.
Right. And they also talk about a variation called ball toss, where a separate ball is being tossed around while the rondo is in progress.
So you're adding a distraction, forcing them to focus and multitask.
Exactly. It's a simple addition, but it really adds another layer of challenge.
These cognitive rondos are fascinating. It's like bringing brain training to the soccer field.
Exactly. And the benefits are huge. They help players develop quicker thinking, sharper reactions, and better decision-making under pressure.
Yeah, and those are essential skills in a game as fast-paced as soccer, where those split-second decisions can be the difference between winning and losing.
Absolutely. It's about developing those soccer smarts, that ability to read the play, anticipate, and make the right call in the heat of the moment.
Okay, so to wrap up this exploration of cognitive rondos, what would you say is the key takeaway for coaches?
I think the main takeaway is don't underestimate the power of adding that mental element to your rondo sessions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even small tweaks can make a big difference.
Right. Even something as simple as having players call out a number or color can really elevate the cognitive challenge.
Exactly. And the benefits in terms of improved decision-making, reaction time, and overall game intelligence are significant.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice. And it actually leads us perfectly to our next topic, resources. We've mentioned some really great sources already, but I'm sure there are tons more out there that can help coaches implement these ideas.
Oh, yeah, there's a wealth of information out there. One resource I always recommend is create Zporter exercises, sessions, and programs instructions.
I'm looking at it now. It looks like a really comprehensive guide.
It is. It's full of detailed instructions on how to create and implement various training exercises, including a ton of rondo variations.
I see. And they even recommend some software tactical pad to help you visually plan and organize your sessions.
Exactly. It's a great tool for coaches. And they even touch on the future of coaching with their AI coach, Zai, which is designed to help coaches develop training plans and methodologies based on player data and analytics.
Wow, that's incredible. Technology is really changing the game.
It is. But even with all these advancements, the fundamental principles of good coaching remain the same. And Rondos are a timeless tool that every coach should have in their toolkit.
Absolutely. And speaking of timeless tools, I always love that quote from Johan Cruyff. Everything that goes on in a match except shooting you can do in a rondo.
Such a great quote.
Yeah.
It really highlights how versatile and how effective this simple drill can be.
And for coaches looking for visual inspiration, there are tons of great YouTube channels out there like 360 Player that show you different rondo variations in action.
Yeah, it's always helpful to see those drills demonstrated, right? It can really help you visualize how to set them up and run them effectively.
And of course, we can't forget about the research. The effective rondo game practice method on passing skills of football players really dives into the data and shows that rondo training has a significant impact on passing accuracy.
It's always great to have that scientific backing to confirm what we see on the field.
So to sum it all up, we've seen how rondos can benefit every aspect of a team's game, from technical skills to tactical awareness to mental agility. We've explored the different variations, the coaching tips, and even some cutting-edge resources.
And we've talked about how coaches can use rondos to create that fun, engaging, and effective training environment where players can really thrive.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, tailoring rondos to specific needs. How can coaches adapt these drills to address their team's unique strengths and weaknesses?
That's a great question. It all starts with observation. You need to analyze your team's performance. What are they excelling at? What areas need improvement?
Right. So if a team is struggling with building play from the back, we might design a rondo that specifically simulates that scenario.
Exactly. You could position the defenders to press high force those quick decisions and really replicate that pressure they might face in a match.
And if they're having trouble transitioning quickly from defense to attack, we could use a rondo that focuses on those quick changes in possession.
Exactly. And if you're working with a younger team, you might start with a simpler variation like the basic rondo, and then gradually increase the complexity as their skills develop.
Right. It's all about meeting your players where they are and providing the right challenges to help them grow.
Exactly. It's not about blindly following a set of drills.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the principles behind them and then adapting them to fit your team's needs and your coaching goals.
And that's what makes coaching such an art form. It's about taking these tools and using them creatively and intelligently to help your players reach their full potential.
Absolutely. Well said.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about rondos in the context of team development. But how can individual players benefit from these drills? How can a player really maximize their development through rondos?
Rondos are incredible for individual player development. They provide a platform for players to hone their technical skills, their tactical understanding, their decision-making abilities, all in one drill.
So even if a player isn't directly involved in the possession circle, they're still learning and growing by observing, anticipating, and reacting to the movements of their teammates and opponents.
Exactly. Rondos create this dynamic and challenging environment that pushes players to think and act quickly, to make decisions under pressure, and to constantly adapt to those ever-changing situations.
And those are skills that translate to any position on the field.
Absolutely. Rondos are a holistic training tool. They benefit players at every stage of their development.
So as we wrap up this exploration of rondos and their impact on individual player development, what would you say are the key takeaways for aspiring soccer players?
My advice to young players would be, embrace the rondo. Approach these drills with enthusiasm, with focus, and a genuine desire to learn.
Yeah, and it's not just about mindlessly passing the ball around.
No. Engage your brain. Think strategically. Anticipate. Communicate. Push yourself to get better with every rep.
And most importantly, have fun. Rondos are such a dynamic and engaging way to develop your skills and to really cultivate that love for the beautiful game.
Well said.
Okay, so now shifting gears a bit, I want to talk about resources. We've already highlighted some great ones throughout this deep dive, but what are some other platforms or materials that coaches and players can utilize to learn more about rondos?
Well, we've mentioned books, articles, videos, even software. But I think another really valuable resource are those online coaching platforms.
Yeah, those are becoming increasingly popular.
They are, and for good reason. They offer so many resources like video tutorials, drill libraries, even personalized coaching plans.
It's amazing how accessible expert coaching has become.
It is, and many of these platforms have forums and communities where coaches and players can connect, share ideas, learn from each other.
It's like creating a global network of soccer enthusiasts.
Exactly. And let's not forget about attending workshops and conferences.
Those in-person events are so valuable.
They are. They give you that opportunity to learn from experienced coaches network with your peers and stay updated on the latest trends and techniques.
And they can be really inspiring and motivating too.
Absolutely. The world of coaching is always evolving, so it's important to stay curious, to keep learning, and to embrace those new ideas.
Yeah, it's a continuous learning process. So for coaches who are really looking to level up their expertise, are there any specific coaching courses or certifications that you'd recommend?
There are some excellent coaching courses out there, both online and in person, that really delve deep into the tactical and technical aspects of soccer, including the use of Rondos.
Any specific organizations or institutions that you would recommend?
Well, organizations like the USSF, the United States Soccer Federation, and the NSCOAA, the National Soccer Coaches Association of America, offer a wide range of coaching education programs.
Those are fantastic resources.
Yeah.
And I believe UEFA, the Union of European Football Associations, also has a well-respected coaching program.
They do. Their coaching licenses are recognized worldwide and cover a very comprehensive curriculum.
So for coaches who want to take their knowledge and skills to the next level, pursuing those certifications is definitely worth considering.
Absolutely. And even for experienced coaches, continuing education is crucial. It's about staying sharp, learning new approaches, and adapting to the ever-changing world of soccer.
Yeah, the learning never stops in coaching.
Exactly. And that's what keeps it exciting. There's always something new to discover, something new to try, and something new to share with your players.
And speaking of sharing with players, I think it's important to talk about the role of communication in coaching. We've already talked about how crucial communication is within a rondo, but how can coaches effectively communicate their ideas and instructions off the field as well?
Yeah, communication is absolutely essential for effective coaching. It's the foundation of everything. It's not just about giving instructions, it's about creating a dialogue, about really understanding your players and inspiring them to be their best.
It's about building those relationships, fostering trust, creating that positive and supportive learning environment.
Exactly. And being clear and concise with your communication is key.
Right. Use simple language, avoid jargon, and be specific with your feedback.
And be a good listener, too.
Yeah, you have to really hear what your players are saying, understand their perspectives, and be able to address their concerns.
Absolutely. Effective communication is a two-way street.
It's about listening just as much as it's about talking.
Exactly. And it's about creating that culture of open and honest communication where players feel comfortable asking questions, sharing their ideas, and contributing to the team's success.
So well said. Communication is the foundation of a strong and successful team.
It is.
So as we wrap up this section on communication and coaching, what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
My advice to coaches would be clear, be concise, be a good listener, and build strong relationships with your players.
Great advice. And for players, my message would be communicate openly with your coaches. Ask questions, share your ideas, be receptive to feedback.
Well said. When coaches and players communicate effectively, everyone wins.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We have explored Rondo's communication, continuing education, and all those valuable resources available to both coaches and players. But as we start to wrap things up, I want to go back to one of the core principles of Rondo's adaptability.
Yes, adaptability is essential in Rondos and in coaching in general. The beauty of Rondos is that they're so versatile.
You can adapt them to fit any age group, any skill level, any coaching objective.
Exactly. It's not about sticking to a rigid format. It's about understanding the principles and then being creative, experimenting, and tailoring those drills to fit your team's specific needs.
And that same principle applies to coaching as a whole. You have to be adaptable, willing to adjust your approach, try new things, and learn from your experiences. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what would you say is the most important lesson for coaches to take away?
Embrace adaptability. Be open to new ideas. Be willing to experiment and never stop learning. The game of soccer is constantly evolving, so the best coaches are the ones who can adapt and grow alongside it.
That's a great message to end on. But before we say goodbye, I have one final question. We've talked about how Rondos can develop technical skills, tactical awareness, even those cognitive abilities. But beyond all those tangible benefits, what is it about Rondos that makes them so special? What makes them so captivating?
It's a great question. I think the magic of Rondos is in their simplicity and their elegance. They really distill the essence of soccer into this beautifully pure and engaging form.
Yeah, it's like they capture the heart and soul of the game in the simple circle of players, a ball, and this endless flow of movement and creativity.
Exactly. Rondos are a celebration of passing movement, teamwork, improvisation, joy. They embody the true spirit of the beautiful game.
It's like they're a microcosm of everything we love about soccer.
Beautifully said.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of rondos, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Go out there, embrace the rondo experiment, have fun, and watch your players thrive.
Well said. And remember, the beauty of the game lies not just in scoring goals, but in that journey of learning, growing, and sharing the passion for soccer with others.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of rondos. Until next time, happy coaching.
Yeah, it really is amazing how this one simple drill can capture so much of what we love about soccer.
Exactly, and that's why I think rondos will always have a place in soccer training, no matter how the game changes in the future.
I completely agree. So as we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with a few key takeaways. First, don't be afraid to experiment with rondos.
Yeah, take everything we've talked about today, all the insights from our sources, and go create your own variations. You can change the size of the grid, the number of players, the rules, the objectives.
Exactly, make it your own. Tailor them to your team and your coaching style.
It's all about finding what works best for you and your players.
Mm-hmm.
And the second takeaway is to remember that rondos are a constant learning process.
Right. You have to observe your players closely. What are they doing well? Where are they struggling?
Use those observations to adjust your coaching and to change the rondos as needed.
Exactly. It's a two-way street. You're learning from your players as much as they're learning from you.
And last but not least, don't forget to make rondos fun.
Keep the energy up, encourage your players to be creative, and let them enjoy the process.
When players are having fun, they're more engaged, they learn faster, and they develop a deeper love for the game.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So with those takeaways in mind, I want to leave our listeners with a final challenge. Remember that Johan Cruyff quote, "Everything that goes on in a match except shooting, you can do in a rondo."
Let that be your guide. How can you, as a coach, use the principles of rondos to help your team reach their full potential?
Go out there, experiment, observe, adapt, and make rondos a key part of your coaching.
I can't wait to see what you come up with.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of rondos.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, happy coaching.
Every kick, every sprint, every cheer, capture and cherish year after year. Zporter, Dinah's friend, helping young players transcend more than just numbers. A story untold, empowering journeys brave and bold. Not just for pros or the elite few, but every kid wearing the shoe.